You're listening to Face of a Feminist with Laura Diaz and Marissa Clark.
Thanks for listening to Face of a Feminist. I'm Laura Diaz.
And I'm Marissa Clark.
So, oh my goodness, I can't believe how exciting this is that we launched our podcast.
I know. It feels so surreal, and I'm just so thankful. Like, don't you hate when people get really cheesy and they're like, oh my God, thanks so much for the love. But like, I genuinely feel that way.
No, it's awesome. When we launched it, we're like, okay, either 5 people will listen, right, or maybe it'll actually be interesting. And so far the feedback's been amazing.
Yeah.
And so that means we're just going to keep doing this.
We're just going to keep going. In fact, it's funny because now I'm thinking of things that I would normally like text you or something, and then I'm like, I'm going to save it for the podcast. We've got this this podcast thing I can just chat with her about in real life.
Oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. It's exciting. It's exciting to get the stuff, to talk about the stuff that I always want to talk about, but we didn't have an outlet, so now we do.
Well, I don't know if you're going to want to talk about what I want to talk about today because it's kind of weird.
So nothing different.
Yeah, no, nothing different at all. So so first off, you know, I'm a daddy's girl, right? Like, I love my dad. Everyone makes fun of me for it, but he's amazing. And we got into a little bit of a tiff, and I was like, I gotta ask Laura her opinion on this. So sort of to backlog how this whole thing started, I was on Facebook and I sell a bunch of things on the marketplace, you know, like I'm always, because I'm broke. So I go on there and I regularly get alerts of people who are listing items or whatever. And so I got a notification yesterday, and when I clicked on it, it was a photo of a coffin that was for sale. Not like, you know, people sell home appliances or like used clothing or shoes. Like, no, this was an actual coffin, not a stock image that somebody had. The look on your face right now is killing me. It's not a stock photo from, you know, like a funeral home website or something. No, this was clearly in somebody's front yard. And so obviously I am wondering, why the hell is somebody listing a coffin? And I was also curious what the price was going to be.
Was it nice?
It kind of looked used, which is a weird thing to say about a coffin, but it was like definitely like scratched and dented.
But like, you know how like mahogany polished with like silver bars on the side?
Yeah, no, it wasn't quite like that, right? And so I had questions. So I scroll down on the comment section, and anyways, come to find out, this individual, I guess, had purchased it at some sort of like antique sale or something like that. And he thought, oh, well, I thought maybe my grandfather was going to want it because he has like terminal cancer or something awful, right? Anyways, turns out the grandfather wanted to be cremated. So I tell my dad this story because I couldn't believe it. And he said, well, yeah, he goes, who wants a coffin? He goes, doesn't everyone want to be cremated? And I was like, well, I guess I personally hadn't ever really thought of it before. And he proceeds to say, yeah, he goes, I don't even want you guys to pick me up from the crematory. And I started like, haha, laughing. And he's like, no, like, I'm serious. I don't, he goes, what are you going to do with my ashes? He goes, I don't want to be scattered anywhere. He goes, I don't want you to put me up on a mantle. He goes, just don't even pick me up. And he was serious. And now I'm kind of like, God forbid. So for instance, this has me really freaked out because he's having back surgery next week. Now, I fully expect everything's going to be fine. It's not going to be an issue. But God forbid something goes wrong. Do I literally leave my father's ashes at a crematory?
I mean, don't you have to do what he wants you to do?
But that's the thing. But he's dead. What does he care? This is for me. I'm the grieving family member.
But I mean, if I have a will and it says, I want, you know, my peace lily in the backyard to go to my mom so she can plant it or whatever, it seems like a petty thing. But if that's what I want,
but
then that's what you have to do.
But that's reasonable. I feel like it's so unreasonable for like grieving family members to just not even go pick you up. You're just scattered out back with the fertilizer.
Didn't he say he wanted that because he doesn't want to be sitting on some mantle somewhere? So then what exactly would you do with the ashes?
Well, I haven't really thought that far, but it just feels wrong.
Well, you would have to, you know what you would do? You would have to spread them somewhere. He says he
Right.
wouldn't want that, but at least you could go to the beach or something. And
Oh my God, did I ever tell you about when we went to go scatter my grandpa's ashes at the beach?
no.
Oh my God, this story. So my grandpa married this awful woman who's technically my grandmother, but I'll never refer to her as that. So we had the ashes from the crematory, and we agreed that we were going to go meet her. She could choose the location. He always wanted to be scattered in the ocean. And so we agreed to go meet her one weekend, and she could choose a location. We'll bring the ashes. The whole thing will just be done. And when we showed up, it was like Memorial Day weekend or something, like super crazy packed, and there was no empty spots on this beach. Like, we drove like 2.5 hours to go scout this, beach out, and there's children everywhere. And here we are with a bag of ashes that she insists has to be at this location. So we all it's super uncomfortable. There's like dogs crossing us in the water, and there's like families playing in the ocean, and here we are with a bag of ashes. And so we all say some painfully just prayer or whatever it was.
Just cliche.
And when she
other.
went to go toss them into the ocean, like this graceful moment, a gust of wind comes by.
Stop it.
Blows my grandfather's ashes into a group of children who are building sandcastles.
Shut your face.
And everyone's like,
no, they were not coughing. They were not coughing your grandfather's remains.
So many ashes everywhere.
Wait,
you just couldn't control it.
Don't exaggerate. Stop for a second. Were children coughing the ashes? I need to know the answer to this.
Yes. In addition to us, because they also blew back to where we were.
I am dead right now.
Yeah,
I mean, not to use that
right,
term.
LOL.
Wow.
Yeah.
Children were coughing from the ashes.
Mommy, what is that gray smoke? Oh, that's my grandfather.
Marissa.
No, I mean, you literally, you can't make that up even if you wanted to.
But back to the coffin. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
Coffins are freaking expensive.
They are.
They're like thousands of dollars. So I could actually see why someone was selling a coffin, because someone might come up and be like, hey, I know homegirl and my family's going to die soon. We don't have $10,000 for a coffin. I could actually see that happening.
My question, I guess the only case scenario I could imagine that you would purchase a coffin and then not need it is that you change your mind and you don't want to be buried.
Or this guy's scenario where he sees it at an antique situation. He thinks he can get a couple bucks. It's super morbid and weird. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But listen, when you get older and you have aging parents and you see people dying all around you, you're like, man, I need to start thinking about the budget of a funeral.
Right.
And when you start thinking about the budget of a funeral, I'm 35, my mom's damn near 70. I have to start thinking about these things, as sad as it is. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, does she have a little budget tucked away for her own funeral? Am I expected to come up with the cost for a funeral? You don't want to ask these things to your parents.
Well, and that's why it was such a weird conversation with my dad, because I was kind of like, wait, is he's serious?
He's serious.
He really doesn't want us to go pick him up. And in my opinion, funerals and burials in general are not for the dead, they're for the living.
Right.
So it's kind of like, do you want to respect their wishes? But at the same time, I'm being selfish and I'm the one living.
But you don't need ashes. You definitely should have a lovely celebration like we did for my grandma, and things like that. But you don't need the ashes. You know what I mean? You have the celebration of life. Take the ashes, whether he obviously doesn't know, and put them in a tree soil.
Yeah.
So he's growing into a tree.
God, it's so
which
cheesy.
is beautiful. But I mean, I think that's nice.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice concept.
We'll see.
I'm definitely getting cremated. I have that in my will written clear as day. Mike too. And I think your dad's right. Who uses a coffin anymore?
Yeah, no, I mean,
I guess plenty of people, because funeral homes are raking it in. I mean, raking it in.
So much money.
Coffins are $5,000. And you go in there and you get the silk, inner lining, and you can just upgrade.
Here's my question. You know how they have stunt cakes at weddings? How it's a fake cake and then the bottom layer is the real one that you cut into. Do you think that they have stunt coffins? During my viewing, I can have a really elaborate and nice coffin that I'm laid in. But when you put me in the ground, just put me in a wood box. What does that matter?
Well, because everyone goes to the gravesite.
Oh, yeah. man.
That's how. But that's a great, if that wasn't the case.
We should market that.
You might be onto something. Yeah. Like if you're like, okay, it's a funeral viewing only, and then you don't have a gravesite scenario, then that would be so smart.
Surely someone's thought of that before me. If not, don't steal that. Copyright.
Oh my God, that's such a good idea.
Anyway, so past all my morbid stories, that's all I got.
It's funny because I was, and I didn't know you were going to talk about something so awful.
Right. Yeah,
but here we are. And I recently laid my grandmother to rest. Mm-hmm. And so I have been very emotional.
Yeah.
And so it's funny you're talking about this because I had to do the whole, she got cremated and everything, but I've been on an emotional roller coaster these last couple of weeks. And like, I have possibly the worst relationship with a father-daughter scenario in the world. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe in like Czechoslovakia. Is that even a country?
I don't know.
Czech Republic and Slovakia.
It's just funny because people want to know how you and I are different. That is like number one, top of the list. Right. I couldn't be closer to my dad, and you never want to see him again.
Like, let's put it this way. I have blocked him from my cell phone so that he cannot call or text me. He's blocked. You can do that, by the way.
Yeah, no, I didn't, but that's good to know.
You can block someone's number so they can't ever contact you. Oh. I went into your email. You can block that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I blocked him from email. I blocked him from all Facebook. So I'm basically dead to him and he's dead to me. And that's how it needs to be. We have a terrible relationship. And so I had to see him at the funeral.
Of course.
And that was tons of fun.
This was his mother.
Correct? Who I was very close with because he's the worst. And she kind of stepped in and was like, let me make up for my total D-bag son. And that's what she did. She spent her life making up for his constant mistakes. And so I bought this camera and it was $700. It was $650 with tax. It was $700. It was a local camera shop. I was actually trying to buy local.
Okay.
I went on Amazon. Yeah, you get a million cameras on there. And I was like, I'm going to go to a local camera shop. I'm going to get their expertise face to face.
Right. They can show you the settings, how it works and everything like that.
It's a lost art going into a small store. I'm just, you know what? I'm going in, and there I go, traipsing in there. I was just so positive. This nice older gentleman is helping me.
Okay.
And I walk in, and all I said was, listen, I do these interviews. I have a nonprofit organization. I do these interviews. They're only sit down interviews. I'm not like walking around doing documentaries because of course you need a different camera.
Right.
So there's different cameras for different reasons.
Purposes, yeah.
And I said, because mine's a sit down situation, I use a lav mic that goes on your shirt and I need an external mic jack. That's where you plug the mic in. Mm-hmm. I said, that's the only thing that I need in a camera. I want a newer camera. I've been using these pieces of crap for too long. I want a newer Sony. So look in your little stash, old man. Of course, I didn't say that.
Of course.
And go get me a camera with an external mic jack that's newer. He comes back with a box. And again, I said that's the only criteria. I don't know if I said that enough, Marissa.
There's priority A, which is camera, and then priority A1 is external mic jack. Like there's no other priorities below that.
Except for newer.
Okay.
I don't want to use camera.
Right.
That's pretty simple criteria. He comes back, here you go, darling. Here's your camera, Sony A6000.
Okay.
Sounds pretty fancy to me. $650. All right. I went in there assuming I would pay about that because that's kind of the going rate for a new camera. And then he proceeds to say, what are you doing? And I just explained a little more what I do with the camera. And then he said, you'd be shocked at how many black people come in here.
No.
And I was like, okay.
No, stop.
Cool.
Wait. Pause. Rewind. You went from just casual, here's your camera, blah, 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 black people. And that's where that...
Yeah, it was just like, after telling him, I post my videos when I'm done with them to YouTube. It was like YouTube just sparked like, his clan meetings or something. And he was like, YouTube, black people. Because he was like, yeah, these black people come in and they're YouTube. They're always doing YouTube videos. And you would be surprised. He says, at least one a day. Marissa, I'm not joking. This is verbatim. This old man says to me, at least one a day come in here. And he said, you'd be shocked.
So that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Was that supposed to impress you? What was the reaction he was trying to arise out of you?
Honest to God, I think he wanted me to feel disgusted like he did.
Oh.
I really do. I think he was trying to like bond with me.
Do you think that she's going to be in on this?
I feel like he was clearly disgusted by this new phenomenon, and he was sharing it with a fellow white person. Like, you're like almost like secret, like, you wouldn't believe the black people that come in here. I was just like so appalled, Marissa.
Of course.
I didn't even know what to say or think. Like, I wasn't sure. Like, so I just kind of honestly ignored it. I was like, okay, let's go pay. Don't think anything of it. And then while we're, paying, someone came up and said, oh my gosh, you're Laura Diaz from, the radio. I said, yeah. And she takes a selfie with me. So let's just say that interaction was very different than a normal customer interaction with him.
Yeah.
He's getting money for a camera from a customer who then someone else comes and gets a selfie with. You don't forget that.
No, of course not.
Okay. Fast forward to one of the biggest interviews in my entire career. I sit down with Ashlyn Harris, who is an international soccer star. She's potentially one of the best female soccer players in the world.
And she's gorgeous.
She's a World Cup champion, Marissa.
Yeah.
And I get to sit down with her with my brand new camera. I can't wait. In fact, I was bragging to Ashlyn, which it nearly killed me to get the interview. Here we are. I was bragging to her about my brand new Sony.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, girl, that's great. And I go to plug in my microphone that is now connected to an international soccer star. And there's no mic jack. No mic jack. And when I say no mic jack, I had Ashlyn Harris, her assistant, and someone from the Orlando Pride soccer team all looking on a 4-inch by 4-inch camera for a mic jack because none of us could possibly believe it didn't have one.
For a non-existent mic jack that you were assured, an hour earlier was there.
And I didn't even think to look because it's as simple as plugging one in. You don't need to search for it before the interview. So here we are. It's on a tripod. I'm about to push record, a once in a lifetime opportunity of an interview, and there's no mic jack. So here I am just fuming. I mean, I was shaking mad, and I had to get whatever I could get with the speaker that was on it. And it was windy outside, and we were in a stadium. We were recording it in the stadium.
Of course you were, because what worse awful audio quality could you have than in a stadium?
Just wind, just echo. And so we got through it. I get home. I'm so upset because the audio was just about ruined. I mean, I'm going to try and salvage whatever I can. So then that was about 2 weeks later. So I go back into the camera shop and things got ugly real fast.
Okay.
I walk in. I was like, I need to return this camera. It's within 30 days like the receipt says. It's in new condition like the receipt says.
You've used it once.
I put it on
new,
one
actually.
tripod.
Yeah.
I put it on a tripod. It didn't have the mic jack. I took it off. We're done. And the guy's like, oof, well, I'm going to have to get, I see a little scratch on the bottom from where you put the tripod on.
No.
I was like, just shaking. I was trying to hold it together just to return the thing and go on about my life. You know,
now this is the same man that you had encountered
he
the
was
first
not.
time.
He says, I said, I need to speak to your manager immediately.
Okay.
If you're trying to tell me there's a scratch on the bottom from the tripod. I said, of course I put it on the tripod. I said it just like that. I said, of course I put it on the tripod. I was doing a big interview. And he's like, I'm going to need to go get the manager. He brings over the freaking guy who sold it to me.
Oh.
The same guy who said the black people.
He's the manager.
The owner. So I'm like, oh, great. Just great. So now I have to tell this guy that he's the one who sold me the incorrect camera. And Marissa, was not having it.
Because you can't technically, in a family-owned business, you can't go any higher than him. There's not like a corporate store that you could call to air your grievances. This is the guy that you've got to deal with.
Was it. And so I'm sitting here telling him that he's like, I was like, do you remember me, sir? And he's like, vaguely. And I was like, of course you remember me. I was like, I was wearing the same Face of a Feminist hat. The girl came up to me, got a selfie with me because I'm on the radio, you know, like I wanted to just make sure he knew that. Right. Obviously did nothing because he's like, there's nothing I can do for you. This cannot be returned because there is a scratch on the bottom from where you put the tripod. And I was like, you, sir, have ruined one of the biggest interviews of my life. All I asked, and I have like my hands on the counter now, like sort of like puffing up my chest. I said, all I asked was an external mic jack. And this is the only camera in the whole store without one.
I was going to say, because I personally know people who own all different kinds of Sonys who definitely have an external mic jack. Definitely. Like they definitely do.
Marissa, I don't think you understand. They probably were selling 8 Sonys. The only one without an external mic jack was the one he sold me. How unacceptable is that?
Do you think that it was on purpose?
Well, I kind of do because I was wearing a Face of a Feminist hat. And he kept staring at the hat and asking me what I do with these videos. Like he probably knew it was all associated together. And here he is talking about black people. Yeah. And like, here I am wearing a Face of a Feminist hat. Now, I'm not...
He let's just say, not to be a conspiracy theorist.
I don't want to be a conspiracy. I don't want to say, oh, he's racist or sexist.
But maybe he's not the most open-minded person in the world.
He's an older white man, probably pushing 70. And that does not make someone, you know, a racist or a sexist. But it definitely felt a little off. Like, I felt like, excuse me, like, don't you think this is weird that you sold me the only camera without the one criteria I asked? And then like people are starting to gather around now.
Right, because you're causing a scene.
It was definitely scene level.
Yeah.
Okay. It was more than just, okay, we're not agreeing here. It was getting, voices were getting elevated.
Yeah.
And then I start crying.
No!
I'm tears, Marissa. When I say crying, it was getting to the level of hysterical. No. So like I had to excuse myself because I couldn't breathe, like that crying.
No, you were doing the hyperventilating.
I had to hyperventilating. Like I couldn't breathe. I was so mad and upset because again, going back to the grandma just passed.
Of course.
You ruined my interview. I'm exhausted. Like and I kept thinking $700 down the toilet.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
And he comes back, we can offer you $400. No.
The audacity.
I came back after composing myself and I'm wiping these tears everywhere. And this lady's like looking at me like, oh my God. I think someone almost even pulled out their phone in case something was going to go down.
Right. Because this would go on YouTube, obviously.
And I was just like, sir, this is unacceptable. This is unbelievable. And I will just take my camera and go out and I will be calling the police. Yes, I did. Knowing full well the police, no crime has been committed.
None. Zero. No. Other than your feelings being hurt, there is no crime that has been committed.
I said, if this says right here on the receipt, like new, within 30 days, here I am, like new, within 30 days, but there's a scratch on there. I don't see a mother bleeping scratch. Now, granted, Marissa, there was a giant scratch on the bottom.
Laura, you know I love you and I want to be with you. I did. And I was with you. Like you had me team Laura all the way. This guy is, prejudiced, blah, blah, blah. And then you threatened to call the police and I had to jump ship.
It was my last ditch effort and knowing no crime had been committed. And I think we all knew I wasn't going to. It's not like he thought I was going to. I just felt that in this scenario, that's the last thing one says.
Of course. Yeah. Before you walk out.
Right.
Which I'm assuming you did.
That level of emotion requires the police will be called and then you storm out, which I did. I said, give me my camera. And I took it, I ripped it out of his hand. And then some old weird dude asked me about if he could help me with audio and gave me his business card. And I almost punched him right in the throat. And I walked out.
Dare you? Man, no. Remember last week when I said that you're losing your edge?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we can throw that into the exhibit B.
It's back. It's back. Whatever edge you thought in the last podcast that I lost, it came back with a vengeance. I was close to assaulting him. I mean, I was so mad.
I'm glad that I've been to that level before. And I've also, I'm joking, but I have threatened to call the police as well. Because like you said, when you get to that level of like desperation and you feel so wronged, you're like, who else is going to stick up for me? If not me and then the police.
Right.
Of course they would.
Well, I figured, police will come and arrest him for the injustice that has been done. I didn't know what injustice, but that was the plan.
So after your rage and, threatening to call the police, is that when you discovered the Einstein quotes you were telling me about earlier to like chill you out? Or is this not connected at all?
Well, I saw this like a while ago, and then I thought about it recently again, because here we are, Marissa, pursuing success. Are we not?
I mean, we're trying to, yeah.
We are pursuing it. We both have a bigger idea of what we want to do. We want to make tons of money. We are willing to, look at us. We've worked an 8-hour shift already, and we're sitting here overtime on a podcast, excuse me. And so I saw this quote and I was like, oh my gosh. So they found some notes from Einstein years, like
the Einstein
theory of relativity, Einstein. And they found on his little like hand notes that he had written what he thought was his theory of happiness.
Oh, please sign me up for this.
I was like, oh my gosh, I got to hear what Einstein thinks is a theory of happiness. I'll read the quote.
Okay.
A calm and modest life brings more happiness than the pursuit of success combined with constant restlessness.
Okay, you're going to have to break this down for me.
I'll break it down. A calm and modest life makes you happier than the pursuit of success.
Okay.
Be content with what you have instead of pursuing something more, and you'll be happier in life.
So do you think that kind of ties into your whole idea of minimalism too?
Yes.
In the sense that, it's not really about how, for those who don't know, Laura has been pursuing this lifestyle of minimalism because she saw a documentary once. Yep. Actually, it's an incredible documentary. I recommend everybody go watch it.
It's Minimalism on Netflix.
And it basically is saying that, and they're to the extreme, right? Like they're super extreme. They're
bachelors, they can do that.
But it's essentially saying, you don't need 39 pairs of shoes. You need one pair of shoes because that's what that's what you wear. You wear them until they run out. You need one desk, one chair, one place to sit, whatever. So anyways, but that is their criteria, is that unless it serves a purpose or it brings you joy, which I kind of feel like, so maybe Einstein was onto something.
I think Einstein was onto something. Like everyone is pursuing, and especially with the minimalists, that's so funny that you say that. Everyone's pursuing more. We want more money so we can buy a bigger house so we can put more things in it. And then we want more storage, a bigger garage so we can put more. And it's like, Einstein's just like, hey man, you keep pursuing the success thing and you're never going to be fulfilled because you're always going to be restless. And my husband always brings this up to me. He's like, Laura, my whole life is pursuing more. And it's, when am I going to be satisfied?
So we should stop podcasting?
Well,
this is where you lose me. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, if we were to listen to Einstein, yes, we would.
And then what? We just continue
just living our lives, making a normal, whatever paycheck we are making, and we're happy with it. And we just, take a nap in the day instead of work. I mean, that's essentially what he's saying.
See, isn't there a study though where it's like more money makes you happy up until like a certain income level? I don't remember what the number was. Is it
$75,000?
Okay.
They actually have a real scientific, like they really went a long time studying, and they said that money can buy happiness up to $75,000 a year. So once your salary reaches that, after that, your happiness level doesn't change.
So what if can I keep trying to pursue more until 75? Because I don't have it right now. We're in my tiny house right now in my tiny ass kitchen, and I'm not happy, Laura. I love you and I love Einstein and I love this whole conversation, but I'm not happy. This does not bring me joy. Now, am I grateful I have a roof over my head? Of course, but I would like for it to be like on the first floor, a little bit bigger, maybe a little more spacious.
Right. And that's cool because you're not there yet.
Right.
At 75.
Yeah.
And once you are, I guess then that's when Einstein kicks in, right?
Okay.
I don't think he's allowed to kick in before 75 because science says so.
Right.
Science says you're happier up to 75,000 a year. But I'm just like, man, when I think about that quote, it just gets to me because I'm like, it's true. When you think about pursuing success and you're always restless, like he says, you're never happy.
So to me, success can be defined by income and it can be defined by like status, right? So
which is all connected.
Right. But what about success in the sense that like you feel your purpose is reached, right? Because I can do a job where I make $75,000 and, you know, I can say that I'm content. But if I'm not doing something on a day-to-day basis that I love and I don't feel that that's successful, then why shouldn't I go pursue that?
That's a really good point. I love that. I love that take on it. But, you know, it's tough because there's like some quote about how if you do what you love, if you pursue what fulfills you, success follows. And so I think what we take away from this is you have to pursue what you love and what fulfills you and what you believe is your purpose first and foremost.
Okay.
And what happens is people are pursuing success first.
Okay.
And that's not how the order is supposed to go. If you pursue what fulfills you first, that success is coming right behind you and it will catch up to you because you're not pursuing it itself.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense because before I got into radio, I was looking at jobs in nonprofits and because I felt like, and I was going to make way, even if you can imagine, I was going to make less than I do in radio right now.
Right.
But I felt like I was going to be doing something that fulfilled me and there's a greater purpose.
Same with me. Before I got into radio, I was going to quit my TV news job making six figures and I was going to go do nonprofit work because I truly believe in literacy and helping, you know, the economically disenfranchised learn to read because that can catapult a whole series of, you know, better life. And I did that, volunteered, and then I tried to get the job there. And like you said, then all of a sudden I get a radio job making a lot more money. And so I think that's the key here. And like, let's say, okay, we're a Face of a Feminist podcast because we want to bring women together, empower women, and, you know, have two intelligent women on air for once instead of having life through the perspective of a man. Here we are pursuing what we believe fulfills us and drives us. And so I guess the idea is that one day this will pay off.
Will it?
Instead of us paying
right. Because
for it.
Right now it's a really expensive hobby.
But that's the idea.
Yeah. No, I feel that this sounds cheesy, but I feel that deep in my soul. I feel like whatever we're doing right now, even if it's just on this like small podcast level, I do feel like eventually one day it's going to pay off.
The theory would be that here we are doing a In Your Kitchen podcast and we're nobodies right now. We are nobodies in, you know, perspective to the world. What if one day we get an opportunity and then the next day we take that opportunity and then next thing you know, we're Ryan Seacrest level. You know, it's like, I don't think that that's insane to think. I think everyone should think that way.
Yeah.
But the question is, where do you cut off that hunger for the money, the fame, the idea of the glitz and glamour of whatever job you're doing? It could be any industry.
Well, and you know, so for instance, someone that I look up to has always been Ellen, right? Ellen has got the fame, she's got the money, but I think underneath everything that she does is a sense of purpose and driven and giving back and things like that. So with Einstein's theory, how does that shape when someone is doing something to give back to others?
She's not pursuing success.
Oh.
Do you see what I'm saying? Ellen has not pursued success in her talk show, and look what's happened with her talk show. She has since day one been so giving, been so generous.
Yeah.
She was just happy to be there. If you remember Ellen from the first few episodes, have you watched from the beginning?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was she not the most humble, just happy to be at the table? Like, she would just talk all the time about how she can't believe she's here.
Yeah.
And like, she'll always give you her backstory. She's the first gay woman, you know, to come out and all these things. And it's like, look what's happened to her. It follows you.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really good lesson. And I think that